So, just another hour and then we'll stop for lunch. Okay, so we've got, I just wanted to put this up here because to me this is kind of everything. Herbs are the people's medicine, and if you like, think of yourselves as mediators between herbs or the plant and people, because you are that in between of plant and people. Right, okay. So I'm going to turn. Yeah? Turn it. Right. Now, yeah, don't worry about that. Don't panic. Don't panic. Look, I'm going to give you one of these. Number one, nobody tell me I've spelt anything wrong because I'm crap at spelling, okay? And I'm also really rubbish at telling the computer to spell check things as well because I forget. And I'm going to read through this because
I'm sorry,
it's probably got some grammar stuff as well. I'm just making it sound like you should be in it, really, aren't I?
I've appreciated you.
Actually, do you know what? Right, okay. Just because you're not going to be able to see it. Okay. So I want to start by looking at the allopathic and the holistic paradigm. Because there is a fundamental issue with the way that we are educated. That's a bold statement, but it's true. Where's my pen? I can't talk about my pen. Right, okay. It's this fundamental issue with what we believe and how we think in our modern society, and we do need to address it in the beginning so that we can constantly be aware. So it's what I was saying earlier about the whole you'll fall back into this allopathic trap, if you like, because that's the way we've been brought up, that's how we think ultimately. So if we cover it now and we go through some of these points, just some of these fundamental points, then we can recognise it and we can pull ourselves up on it. So these are some of the most common misconceptions between our allopathic system and what we actually term as holistic, holistic, the whole, yeah? Because that word, oh man, that holistic word, everyone and his cat uses that word. Everyone and his cat uses that word, and I don't think they really know what it means. Holistic. So, we're basically looking at the biomedical, I'm really crap at saying some of these words as well, biomedical, or the allopathic view, and the holistic, or the vitalist view as well. Let's just start to bring that word vitalist in there as well. So let's go through some of these points. The allopathic theory is that the chemistry of the plant should be isolated for it to be effective. That is the biomedical medicine theory, and modern medicine theory.
Chemistry of what?
That the chemistry of the plant should be isolated, extracted and isolated for it to be effective, so that it's on its own. And the holistic view is that the chemistry is correct, but we accept that vital energy and force of the plant as a whole. So we accept the rest of the plant as well, whereas modern medicine feels that the bit of the plant should be took out of it, yeah, isolated. So as a holistic herbalist, we do not isolate or separate from the whole plant. We never do that. We are good children. Right. Next one. Just shout at me if I go too fast. Next one. Popular misconception under the biomedical way of thinking is that plants are a natural alternative to drugs and work in much the same way. You see where I'm going with this? So this is, I'm kind of looking at it as a herbalist who's not thinking who's thinking it in an allopathic way, because that's what we're all taught, rather than a vitalist or holistic way. So I'm really pulling at these little points so that we've got it in our head. So number 2, popular misconception: plants are a natural alternative to drugs and they work in the same way, but they don't work in the same way. Plants don't work in the same way as drugs. They don't work similarly to drugs at all. So drugs are one compound to treat one symptom, delivered and based upon symptomatic treatments, on symptoms. So Bailey's got a tummy ache, so a drug, I'll set myself up there because I can't really think what. So Bailey's got a something, and we pick a drug for that one symptom. So it's symptomatic, prescribing. Whereas a plant is multifunctional. It's not one compound, it's multifunctional. And so we can't work with plants in the same way that we work with drugs. So that is a real fundamental, that was a real thing with Dr. Allen. I'm going to stop mentioning her.
Sorry, Vicky.
Yeah.
Would that be kind of like, say, someone with anxiety being treated for anxiety with drugs?
Yeah, rather than, where's the anxiety coming from?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas a plant you won't get a plant that is just one thing. A plant does so many things. I'm being general at the minute. Whereas when we go into energetics, we'll see, okay, what is this plant? It is hot, it is a bitter tonic, it is a this, it is a that. Okay, so if you treat, right, okay. So for example, I've got an example. I've got an example. So I think I've got an example. So let's say that you have 2 people with high blood pressure, right? 2 people, high blood pressure. And the one person is on the go, hyperactive, They are fiery. So you would associate them with the fire element, yeah? That's where you would put them, with that fire element, which is, please, Ayurvedic lady, tell me, Kapha, Pitta or Vata? Pitta. Pitta constitution, heat. They're fiery, they're on the go, right? Your other person also has high blood pressure, but they are stagnant and lethargic and they don't really move a lot and they can't really do anything, but they've still got high blood pressure, right? Their constitution is Kapha, right? So you've got this Pitta person, their constitution is fire, and you've got this earth person, cold, down, is that right? Yeah. So you've got this person who's slow. So okay, in your little wee book, you look up and garlic will kill me, but garlic is good for blood pressure. Yeah. So you could think. So in this viewpoint, an allopathic herbalist, a green allopath, so many little words, would think, okay, garlic for that person, it's really good for high blood pressure. But if you give garlic, which is a grade 4 hot, pungent plants, to the fiery person, it's going to make them a whole lot worse. Because the plant is not, we have to know the energetics of the plant. So that's the difference between thinking, prescribing as a whole, or in the way, because really what that person's doing by, garlic, what that person's doing is thinking in an allopathic way. They're thinking the way a doctor thinks, the way, not slagging off doctors, but do you know what I mean? They're thinking in that way. Rather than, you can't do that because there's so many dynamics to that one plant. It's not just one thing. It's not just good for high blood pressure. It's also very hot. It's a hot. So if you've got a hot, fiery person, it's going to make them worse. So it depends on the energetics of the person, the tissue states. So urinary tract, UTI infection, the urinary tract infection, UTI, is the tissue state hot and dry and tense and sharp and hurting, like cystitis, sharp, or is it stagnant and damp? Is the tissue state damp? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to know what the herb is, and we have to know what the body is as well. Because otherwise, you're always treating down, you're always treating the way we've always, exactly, you're always just treating a symptom. But what was the state, what allowed that urinary, so for example, oh no, it sounds like I'm Dr. Bashing. I'm not. It's the way we've been bubble sort of, right? So think like that. So, for example, and I'm going off track. For example, let's say that you have someone with a UTI and the doctor will go, it's a UTI, antibiotics, and clears up the UTI. But what was the tissue state for that bacteria? Let's say it was a bacteria. What was the tissue state that allowed that bacteria, that infection, to thrive? What that, it's incorrect, it's not balanced, is it? It's not a balanced tissue state, because there's something wrong with that tissue state for it to actually, for that infection to thrive. So if that infection is thriving, then okay, you kill the infection, but unless you change the tissue state, then the infection is going to come back. So what we're looking at as the whole is, okay, what's wrong, we can treat that infection, but we also want to know what is the underlying problem, why is this imbalance, why is this, there an imbalance there? And I know it's like, well, how do you do that? But we'll get there, I promise you we'll get there, we'll get to that. Does that answer your question?
So that's a much more nurturing kind of perspective.
Yeah, it's seeing
whole.
things in a big, yeah, it's the whole,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah. Why is that? We're going to go, we'll get onto it, promise. So, essentially, a symptom is a language, it's a language. We need to learn to follow the language. Don't shut the language up. We follow the language, we listen to the language. Everything's a language. If I have a headache, it's a language. Is it my eyes? Is it this? Is it tension? Is it that? It's my body saying, hello, someone on the outside. Hello, there's an imbalance going on in here. What's going on? Hello, headache. Boom. It's a language, and we've actually grown up in a society where we, instead of that language and listening to it, we shut it up.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that in a minute. So, where was I? Tell me. Am I on the third one down?
The third.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So another one. A plant will make all problems go away. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Oh, there's someone in there. So, common misconception, a plant will make all problems go away. Root causes everything without being suppressive. Yes, okay. A plant can get to the root cause, but they can also be suppressive. You can also suppress a symptom with a plant.
Here we are.
Rachel Gold. What we'll do is, I will send you, we're videoing this, so I'll send you, there's too much to recap on, so if you just take a seat, there is one somewhere, and I'll send you this so you can,
Sorry.
where have you been?
Lovely
Is it-
country.
Just a nice jolly around.
Saw a lot of yellow fields. Lots of them.
Some sheep. Excellent.
Come over there, brilliant.
Yeah, it's going that way.
Yeah, probably easy to go this way, sorry. I thought we're all a bit squashed, but we have got a table. So yes, a plant can get to the root cause, but they can also be suppressive, just like a drug. Plants can suppress, and our goal is to find the cause and not to suppress. So we have to be mindful of the fact that you can just suppress a problem with a plant, just exactly the same as you would a drug. Another one, anyone can take any herb. Not true. Not true. Not true at all. Don't ever give me garlic. You will kill me. It's just no. That's not true. Herbs should be used and when identified as indicated. For example, adaptogens. Right. Okay. So an adaptogen. Very, very big at the moment, and it's all a big like, oh, take an adaptogen. But adaptogens help us to cope with stressful situations. They help us to cope with change. But adaptogens can and do increase the vital force. Now, we haven't covered vital force yet, because we haven't done vitalism yet. So just hang fire on that one. But they increase the vital force. They're a tonic herb, if you like. So they are toning. And they can be too much. They can be too much of an overstimulant. I'm stumbling because I'm trying to think of an example, because I haven't written an example down. For example, someone who comes to you and says, right, okay, so, oh God, I'm really exhausted, really tired, really exhausted. Okay, well, take this adaptogen. Oh, I feel great. Bloody hell, look at me. I'm absolutely superwoman and going around doing things. What did you not ask that person? Well, actually, they've been existing for the last 2 years on 4 hours sleep a night. And actually, they never rest and they don't do this and they're doing how many shifts? So your adaptogen then is making them feel like superstars. However, it is pushing them past their physical capabilities. So that adaptogen then is going to encourage burnout. So that is wrong, obviously, because you don't want to just go around giving people plants and then they all absolutely collapse in front in a great big heap at the end of the day, and it's just like, oh, actually, but that. You know, we want to get to what we should be saying to that person is, right, okay, so you're exhausted, so tell me about this, tell me about that, and how many hours sleep do you have? 4 hours. Well, of course you're exhausted. You've just gone for 2 years with 4 hours sleep. You need to sleep more. What kind of sleep is it? Is it quality sleep? Is it this? You get where I'm going with it, yeah? So not everyone can take every herb, nor should they take every herb, because we should be thinking about the whole. Yeah, I want to stick on that one for a minute. Herbs are not completely safe, obviously, and must be prescribed according to the unique specificity. Oh, we're going to do unique specificity. I can't say it, but we're going to do it. We're going to do that, and we're going to do, say it, specificity.
Specificity.
The more everyone
You can't
says
say
the worse it's
either.
going to get.
Yeah, okay, I need to find an alternative word for that, somebody. Find one for next time. That's your homework. Find unique specificity. It's not the right word, I can't say it.
No, I can't say it.
We're going to specify our formulation. That's what we're going to do. Specify our formulation. And every person, each and every tissue state is going to be different. So in going back to the example of anyone can take every herb, any herb, no. It's specific. We're going to formulate. When you formulate, you're going to be formulating specifically. I can say that specifically. Right, next one. Plants are only seen as safe when science has proved them to be. Right, okay, so, well, we don't really need science to prove anything. You don't really need science to prove something that we've got generations and generations of practical evidence of, and it's worldwide evidence of. You've got traditional cultures and a wealth of recorded knowledge. So why do we need science to then tell us that so many volumes of such and such is safe or not safe, or don't? It's like nutrition. Oh, don't go over the RDA with that. And I'm sorry,
It's so that people can say.
It's just that's a common misconception. That's all I'm saying on it. Right, another one. People, so in allopathic, another thing falling into the trap of, people get sick because of genetics, chemicals, imbalances, molecular lesions, etc., etc. Well, yes, of course they do. But they also get sick because of diet, poor lifestyle, stress, side effects of prescription drugs, and we must remember that we're all about the cure, we're all about the whole, we're all about why this language of symptoms has actually come about. So we can't afford to be in a position when we look at a client to be in a position where we're just thinking it's genetics or it's, we have to be looking at the whole thing, and we'll go into this a lot. When, you know, when I said earlier we was going to talk about client evaluation and working with people and stuff like that, we'll go into that a lot, because there's some really nice soft techniques on how to actually gather the information that we need and actually look really deeply at what's affecting someone, look behind the symptom to actually read the language. I mean, sticking with that, we don't want to mask any symptoms, we don't want to suppress any symptoms, that's not where we want to be. And sickness, illness is often, a lot of the time, it is affected by how we live. It's how we live every single day. We're not just a big sack of chemicals. You know, we've got emotion, and we've got emotional impact. We've got toxicity reports. People over there. You know, we've got astral, spiritual bodies that in turn are affected by what we have, our intake of emotion, our intake of information, our intake of relationships, of where we work, of the environment, we react to our environment. You know, all this affects our health and well-being. So, and I'm certain that we all know that. But just a common thing is that, you know, to go back to this idea that, oh, you are sick because there is a chemical imbalance or this or that or whatever, or genetically prone to whatever. Moving on. Effective assessment needs bloods, lab tests, scans. Yes, of course it does. But while this technology is fabulous and wonderful, we have a definite over-reliance on it, on those tools, and we're losing, I feel like we're losing our sense of being able to be observative. I don't even know if that's a word.
We're claiming it anyway.
Cool, got it, claimed. Do you see what I mean by that? We don't. When was the last time you looked at someone and said, Becky, what constitution is she? You don't, do you? You know, you don't look, you don't, we're not taught to do that. You said just get Becky and send her off and get her scanned and probed and all the rest of it. You know, sorry?
You know when, I'm sorry for the people that didn't do the healing course, but you know when you said like in the healing course, everyone just wants everything fixed straight away like a pill. And that's kind of what we've got to, or what's that, oh, take a pill. It's
this sort of, I know it's wonderful, but I believe in our field, in what we're studying, we are over-reliant on these scientific things. And I think we need to get back in touch with, okay, so let's find out what's wrong with Dave and our observation skills, which we're going to really tap into. And that's just it's just a common thing that you can't diagnose anyone unless you send them off to a lab. You know, well, no, actually, you can work with someone. Am I on the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, last one. Popular misconception. One formula for everything. Just mix it up and go. Like a herbal antibiotic. It's not specific to anything. It's almost like it's off the shelf. Right, so. We're about to study as much as we can, clinical herbalism. And as such, we must be specific, and I've just said all this, but we must be specific about our formulation. Our formulation has to be specific. And medicine, do you know what? Medicine is an art. It is. It's an art form. I love it. It's a total art form. Your mixing and your formulation is. And the holistic model, the holistic model, is based on specific remedies that fit with each and every client, each and every organ system, each and every tissue state, the energetics of the disease. And that is how we're going to specify our formulation, because one formula, like with the whole garlic and the, what was I treating with the garlic? High blood pressure, thank you. Like with the whole high blood pressure thing, you can't, do you know what, it's a lottery, because if you just have a formula on a shelf and it's like, I'm going to try that because it says it's good for kidneys or whatever. I really need some new examples. You're taking it, and unless you can evaluate and assess your own system, which is, you would think would be easy, but it's not that easy, because someone looking at you sees more, if you know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. But it's a 50-50 chance. Is it going to work? It might work. Is it going to make it worse? It might make it worse, because it's not specific to your tissue state, to your actual physiology. It's a herbal formulation that is likely to work on X, Y, Z, but it's not specific to your actual, or to your client's actual tissue state and to their physiology. It's not specific to them. It can't be, can it? Because it was formulated and mixed up and put in a jar and put on a thingy. It's like going back. It's like, this is our off-the-shelf comfort oil. However, it's very good for anxiety.
Gold, that is.
Huh?
Liquid gold.
Liquid gold.
Liquid
gold.
I'm addicted to it.
So it's non-addictive.
No,
Don't be saying that in front of a crowd of people. This is our non-addictive comfort oil. However, yes, it's off the shelf, and yes, it has ingredients in it that are very much likely to help you with anxiety and panic attacks. It's the Victorian recipe. The sales pitch is coming out from nowhere, as if by magic. However, somebody might, a case of it please. Someone might use it and it might not work at all, because what's your anxiety based on? It's like sleep oil. We do a sleep oil. Some people swear by it, some people it doesn't work for them. I have to mix something special. Because what's causing it? You know, is it just, it's these ingredients, and we have to do some off the shelf stuff, otherwise we wouldn't exist. So we have to have some things. However, these ingredients are not specific to any one of you. Shell might use it and it might be rubbish. It might do nothing, it just smells pretty. Bailey can't live without it. I can't live without it. I've got a bottle of it in every single pocket. I just can't.
It's in my bag.
Yeah, everywhere.
One on my desk,
yes.
one in my car.
Yeah, and if one of them's moved, it's like, where's it gone?
Yeah.
And even though I can just walk across here and just make some more, it's like, no, I have to have it. Maybe it is addictive. Oh, yeah.
It's quite funny because I haven't used it, and it was only recently that I decided to use it, and I'd stopped in the lay-by just next door to put some on before I drove home. And I was like, all the way home, oh, this is so nice.
I can't get my machine to work. Oh, no, that's not it. Just hang on a minute. Right, okay. So, where am I supposed to be? Am I doing on time, somebody?
12:27. So
Oh,
that's
I'm okay.
very
I'm
precise.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, okay. So we'll go a little bit further and we're going to break just in time for lunch. So these are all points that we're going to be looking at and learning in depth as we work our way through the course. Okay. And do you know what? We could go on with these common misconceptions. We could, because there's just loads. There's loads that you hear somebody say, and you think, no, don't go down that route. There's loads, and once you know it, you start to pick yourself up on your thinking, because you will drop back into it. You do. It's just the way we are. It's like another one. Like, sorry, I keep thinking. So you've got like a herb can cure without changing the body. Well, although I believe that there is truly a plant for every problem, the plants are going to change the physiology of the body, because they need to. Because if the body language is giving off that there's something wrong, then there needs to be some change. So that's just a backwards statement in itself. It's just like, no, it needs to create change, because why is it sick? You know, so you could just go on and on and on about it. I suppose when we look at true vitality, and I know we haven't done it yet, and we're going to do it, we should never expect one plant to fix everything, even though you might get one plant that addresses several different things, and that's like, it's like your lead herb, your lead plant in a formula, or it might be a solo plant that you use, but you should never expect it. You should always expect to be thinking as the whole, and be thinking as the whole plant, and having to formulate these plants together. That's how you should be thinking. I mean, you know, obviously it's an old thing. Nature's not a... See, I've got no pen. Nature's not a machine, you know. And we are nature. We are part of nature. We are nature. See yourselves as that plant. We are nature. You know, energetics and the energy and vitalism and the vital force, which we're going to do next. It's a key part of our physiology. It's not just the chemistry. That's not just what we focused on. Symptoms are the problems that we should treat, and assessment should be knowing the disease that's behind that symptom. That's where we're going. I think we will get this.
Can you repeat that one again? Sorry.
No. I really can't. I just said it. What did I just say?
Symptoms are the... No, that's what I got to.
Where was I going? Because I was looking at this but not reading it. Symptoms are a problem. Symptoms are the problem that we should treat, but the assessment should be knowing what the disease is behind the symptom. So this, again, we're going back to symptoms are a language. They're a language of this vital energy throughout the body, and that language is telling us something is off balance. So something's wrong. And you know what? Assessment is really complex. It is. I'm not saying it's not. It is really complex. Especially if you got to assess me, man, I'll give you a medal for that. Every person is unique. They're unique to their own environment.
Because a lot of the time it is changing the mindset as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of energetic factors to consider and to change and to bring about. So I suppose, right, there's one definitive line here. We're always treating the whole person and not the symptom. That's it. I could have just cut all that rubbish out I just said. No, it wasn't rubbish. So you get the idea.
So would you say that in a consultation a lot more time and care is needed to really get to know?
Yes,
that person?
I know someone, not me as, Right, we're jumping a little bit ahead to consultations, but that's okay, because we can do it again. Well, no, we're going to do it in detail. We're going to do a whole lesson on it, a whole day on it. Right, but I know someone who spends 2 hours in a consultation with somebody who's a herbalist.
Wow.
Just talking about stuff,
Yeah.
just going through stuff.
If you ask somebody something, they'll give you an answer. But
Yeah.
if you let them continue to talk, you
Yeah.
will get a whole
Yeah.
lot more.
And there's a way of doing it as well. There's ways, there's techniques of being able to talk to people that's rather than, you know, it's we'll go through it. And do you know something? Although I know a lot of you practice other things as well, and once you've gotten through these techniques and stuff, it's so useful with other things, and you'll find you use it for everything. Like we've just included it with some of the stuff that we've been teaching, and it's because it's once you've gone through this it's like this blueprint, formula, whatever, of actually consulting with someone, actually your intake of information of this person in front of you, your client who's poorly. You can use it. It doesn't matter if you're going down a herbalist route. It doesn't matter if you're you're using it for aromatherapy and you want to actually do. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing a Reiki treatment or you're doing whatever. It's really, really useful to use, and you'll find it just kicks in and you just start using it, and then you think to yourself, why did I never use that before? So we're fixed and clear on the differences between a green allopath, or an allopathic herbalist. That sounds better. Green allopath sounds a bit like an alien. And a true holistic herbalist, yeah, we're good, we know this, yeah, right, good, because I don't want to read all that again, because that's a crazy amount of, I don't want to see that again, thank you. This is the leaf I was telling you about. Is this not a nice wallpaper? It's not wallpaper, I don't know where I got it from. Right, okay, so, what's the time check?
12:34.
Oh gosh, I'm whizzing ahead here.
It's because we're all on best behaviour because there's newbies.
I know. Let's be honest.
Right, so I think I'm on figure 4, but I just need to check because I've kind of lost my track, which happens frequently. 4. Okay. Number 4. So we're going to do vitalism, okay? However, before we start to look at the principles of vitalism, I just want to cover with you 7 principles of holistic herbalism. So, I just want to go through these. We are forever students of nature because nature is in balance. So, are you okay over there with that little table?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, good, cool. You've got the nice French desk. So, we are forever students of nature because nature is in balance. So, we are a microcosm of the natural world. That's how I want you to see us.
Say that again.
We're a microcosm of the natural world. We are based within vitalism, following the vitality of nature, the intelligence of nature, and the vital force. Vital force, okay, I'm going to go into vital force when we go into vitalism. And I'm sorry if some people know all this already. Promise you we'll get onto some stuff that we don't know, but I need to cover everything. So, what am I thinking about that when I'm saying we are forever students of nature and nature is in balance and blah blah blah? Again, I'm going to go back to don't be an armchair herbalist. Don't get stuck in a book. Books are good.
I like books.
Well, I like books. I like books. I write them. But don't get stuck in a book. Still be.
On your own way.
Yeah. Let's have this experiencing because it's going to give us confidence. To be a student of nature, we don't want to be in a book. We want to be in the nature. So that's what we want to be.
Intuitive to it.
Yes. Building back our things that we lost. It's like assessment of people. We've lost it. We've lost that skill. We've lost the skill to assess people without sticking them in a lab and taking a... And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad. I am not anti... Well, loads and loads of our healing folder, that thick, full of clients, and the majority are from the NHS, or the teachers, NHS, all of them. You can pick off on your one hand who own a teacher or an NHS in the NHS. So I'm not slagging it off, I'm just saying that we need to re-establish our skills of assessment and our skills of learning from nature, actually being in nature. Number 2, always consider the root of health. Right. Stop. Right. So this is critical, and I know I keep saying, oh, this is important, this is critical, this is critical. Never overlook the fundamental things that determine your health. So what is your rhythm, your everyday, or what is your client's everyday, their everyday rhythm? You know, what do they eat, the things that create an emotional impact, how do they sleep, are they hydrated, what's their hydration, everything. You never overlook these roots of health. And I think we do overlook because it's so fundamental, it's so every single day. Oh yeah, well I never thought about what I ate then, or I never thought about whether I was hydrated. You don't tend to think of that base level of, well, okay, what's the emotional, okay, well that person's child has just started a new school and they've got to move house, so you tend not to focus on the emotional impact of something. So always consider the roots of health, what's going on in their life as a whole, what is determining these symptoms, where do they need to adjust their lifestyle because of these symptoms, where do they need to adjust their lifestyle to bring about the vitality that they should have that they've not got, because they've not got it because obviously they've turned up in front of your counter, so they've obviously got a problem. I suppose I'm a good example of that, in that I've got a severe garlic allergy. Dr. Anne, going back to Dr. Anne. No, GP. So severe garlic allergy, I didn't know that at the time. I'd go back years and years and years and years. A long time before anyone really did allergy tests. I think it was a thing. I am that old. And the GP had got me booked in for surgery for something. I can't remember what. First they said it was my ovaries. Wow, okay, that's a bold statement. Then it was my gallbladder, and then it was something else, to the point that I was like, no, just you know what? You are just shooting around in the dark at the moment, people. I'm not believing a bloody thing that you say. And that was me off, and we go back to the story that I told earlier. But Dr. Anne, herbalist, at the same time was, oh, try this and try that, and I was just getting worse and worse and worse. And not until I did the nutritional course and I actually went through health for like 3 years to self-diagnose myself, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. Not until I did that did I realise that I got this extreme garlic allergy, and then all of a sudden I was better, and it was like, really, people? So the roots of health, never forget the roots of health, because that was just, someone should have just said, what do you eat to keep a food diary? But I mean, that's common now, but then no one said it. No one even thought about what I was eating. Why have I got a garlic allergy? Do you know why? No. But that's the best answer I've had on that question. I've got a garlic allergy because garlic is one of the most highly processed additives, and it's in everything. And they use it to spice up bland recipes, and it's not real garlic. The majority of garlic is processed in
Can you
China.
eat normal garlic then?
I
Fresh
can
garlic?
eat wild garlic. I can't trust anyone that they're telling me the truth when they say they've put wild garlic in there.
But like normal garlic from, you know, let's
A
say
bulb
grow
garlic.
the bulb.
It needs to be wild. I need to eat wild. I've been okay with wild garlic. Seeing I end up in a hospital, I don't tend to try things, obviously,
I
because
can
it's
vouch
like,
for that because I made you something and totally forgot and nearly killed
you
you.
did nearly kill me. Yeah.
I was trying.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I didn't make it. It was in the crackers.
Yeah. You bought a load of stuff and you went, I've checked it, there's no garlic in it, and stupidly, I just took a word for it and I thought, God, these crackers are really nice. And like an hour later, oh no, just no, I was so ill. So that's what develops, I'm going into nutrition now. And every herbalist should be a nutritionist, that's what I was going to say later. But that's what creates allergies. We're going into what creates allergies, but it's an overuse of chemically altered, that's a simple way of putting it, substances. And if you go shopping and you just pick up things and have a look what's got garlic in it, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. And you know the new allergy that's going on? I'm going to predict something now, you heard it here first. You know the new allergy that's going to come about? Potato starch. You have a look at everything's got bloody potatoes. Why? Everything's got potato starch in it. That'll be the next thing.
And pea starch. And
Yeah.
flour.
They're all going crackers with it, you know. And what, Dave, where's my organic ginger?
Oh, I forgot. I have got it.
Dave,
I have got it.
ginger. Ginger, right, okay. Let's get organic ginger. Try it. Try getting some organic ginger. Ginger from China. I don't care what expensive shop you walk into, the ginger will be from China. I don't want Chinese ginger. Sorry, I'm going on to food. I
Do you
teach
mean the
foods.
French ginger?
Yeah.
Ginger root?
Yeah, you have a look at the origin. China. Why? Why are we
Yeah, that's what.
buying genetically modified ginger from China?
This is cheap.
And why? Because it's cheap. And why is garlic that's not even garlic in everything? Why is that?
Because this is cheap.
I need to not get onto the...
Why is it now? I need to know now.
Why is it? Because it's a cheap way of making... We're addicted. We're going on to nutrition. That's okay. Right. We're addicted in our modern society. We're addicted to flavour. You didn't used to be. You go back to World War II, we were addicted to flavour. You ate everything in season. You didn't eat anything that wasn't out of season. If it was boring and bland, you ate it because you just had to eat it. That's how it was. But we're addicted... Sorry?
And it tasted nice.
Yeah, and it tasted nice. But we're addicted to flavour, and we're also, because of the way our lifestyles have changed from World War II coming through history, up to now, commercialism has... cutting it down short, commercialism has exploded, and it was almost sold to the post-war nation like a kid in a sweetie shop. It was, look, you want more, don't you? You want more. We can't afford more. We could, because if you go back prior to that time, if you look at wartime, into the interwar period, if you look at that time, most people were very similar. Okay, you had your hierarchy, you had the upper class, but most working class people, they kind of wore the similar kind of thing. They had similar kind of jobs. They ate similar kind of foods. Yes, you had very, very poor people. You had two extremes, but it was all very similar and content. People were content with what, if there was a good meal on the table and they could feed the kids, they were content with that. They were good, and there was contentment. I'm not generalising. I'm aware that I'm generalising, rather. If you fast forward, we were also almost, as a nation, sold this consumer, we want a holiday, you want a car, you want this, you want that, and there's only X amount of expendable income. So therefore, something has to give, and how it's been addressed is food. If you look at food, it's just got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and more altered and mass produced. So adding this artificially fabricated, for want of a better word, garlic is it's like potato starch. It's a bulking agent. It's a bulk. It's the starch out of it. It just bulks it up, so it makes it more of. Whereas the garlic, this added garlic, is just an added flavour. It's an added. Why does it need to be in tomato ketchup in Aldi? Why is it in Lidl's mayonnaise? What?
Simple, don't buy processed food. Just
Don't buy. But that's it though.
fresh.
Well, that we're going to get onto this. But that's why they add it. They add it because it's really cheap. They can make loads of it, and they add it to the food, and food has got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, so that everyone can afford to do other stuff. So that's why it's in the food.
But it's the same with sugar.
China.
It's the
Oh,
same
yeah.
with
Why is
sugar.
it? Sorry.
Why are they only growing ginger in China? Because it's too expensive to grow it anywhere else.
I don't know why they only grow ginger. Well, they don't only grow ginger in
Oh.
China, but it's very difficult to get organic China. It's very difficult to get organic China.
Do you grow it then?
Dave has acquired some
Oh,
that
Dave.
we want to grow.
I've just said
But it
to
keeps
him,
going in.
Can you grow it?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to grow ginger. I am determined to grow ginger, but I don't want to grow it from the.
Chinese one.
Yeah, no, I don't. I want to acquire some. Yeah, I want to acquire some. I don't know why it's so mass produced in China. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
There will be a reason, and it won't be nice.
No.
No, it'll be for money. It'll be for
yeah.
profit, and it'll be. But I don't want to do it. I want to eat. We're going off on eating.
Yeah. No. I
You see, I'll get carried away and stuff about nutrition as well, and how many things broke.
It's all links though, isn't it?
Oh, it all links together. Everything
Because
links
it's
together.
what you put into your body. Is what you
Absolutely. It's your intake.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, where was I? Was that considered the whole person and the whole plants? Is that what I was
No,
talking about then?
not the two.
Oh, always kids are sitting right. Oh my God. Sorry. Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Hang on. Am I on number 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, consider the wholeness of people and plants. This is a key point. I think I've labelled this one. Plants, you must understand the net global effect of the plant on the person. So you need to know how that plant is going to affect that person. Rewinding back to, what was it again? High blood pressure. Rewinding back to high blood pressure. You need to know whether your plant is a hot plant, is a cold plant, is a damp plant, does it add moisture? You need to know your tissue state, you need to know the whole plant. You've got to consider the wholeness of the person. Has that person got a hot, dry illness? Is it a hot, dry cough? Is it a damp, stagnant cough? Is that plant going to add moisture? Examples. Someone's listening to me upstairs. Examples. Right, okay, so let's say you've got 2 people got cough. One person's cough is dry and prickly and toning, it's tight. The tissue state is tight. And the other person's is chesty and damp and stagnant. You don't want to give that person marshmallow root because marshmallow root is moistening. So you could say, oh, marshmallow root's really good for a cough. Yeah, there you go. Really good for a cough. Person with chesty cough just gets worse. Herbalist looks like a bag of rubbish. And marshmallow root is just like, oh, don't ever take that. That's what the person with a big chesty cough's going to go around and tell everyone, don't ever take that. That's rubbish, that stuff, that made me worse. So you have to know the whole plant, the whole person. Right. So again, your people is what you're looking at is your terrain. This is your terrain, the terrain of your person. Think of it like land. It's land. Does the disease grow in the land or does it not grow in the land? You're treating the land, the terrain, the whole land. Right, where am I? Thank you. Right, okay. Remember that the body is intelligent. Well, don't know if mine is. The body is intelligent and symptoms are a language. Okay, I've already said this. I'm going to say it again. Symptoms are a language of the body and the vital force. So the energetic force that's moving through the body, which we're going to go on to, vitalism. Symptoms are a language of the body and the vital force. And probably this is the clearest distinction, I think, between an allopathic and a vitalist or a herbalist, holistic approach. Because a symptom is an intelligent response of the body to a viral bacteria or to an illness or to a problem or an imbalance. It's an intelligent response. It is. It's an intelligent response. It's a language of hello. And what do we do in our modern science? We suppress it. Oh, you know, Marie's got an headache, just pop her some pills and she'll be fine, and just get on with it, Marie. You know, if no one's actually, oh, okay, why has Marie got a headache? Why does Marie have a headache 3 days a week? Is it because she has to listen to Gary? Is it because she has to go to school? Or why is it?
All of those.
Right, okay. No problem. Johnny can fix that. Just so I didn't say anything important. Right, so number 5. Do use full spectrum plant extracts. What do I mean by that? I'm not a fan of standardised extracts. I just said that, didn't I, when I was explaining my standardised extract? Yeah, standardised, that's what I mean by that. They do have a place. They do have a place. There's a shelf of a place out there full of them. They do have a place. However, let's always try to use full spectrum plant extracts. So we're always going to try our very best to use the whole, and think about the whole. Because really, if you're taking something out, I'm going to go for one. If you're taking something out of the plants, let's go back to this allopathic viewpoint. If you're taking something out, what are you saying back to the universe, or I don't care what you believe in, what are you saying back to God, what are you saying back to the universe, what are you saying back to nature? You're saying, oh, look, you got that little bit, okay, that's right, I'll use that, the rest of it's shit. Oh, don't want the rest of it, that's no good. We don't want to be in a position where we're doing that. We want to be in a position where we are, okay, we're using all of it. We want to use all of it because what message are we sending? When we're thinking energetically, what message are we sending back if we're just going to use that little bit there and that's the rest of it, put that in the bin? You know, we're not, it's,
So
energetically it's not how we are.
So do you mean both the amount you use potentially as well as all of the plants?
You don't use, you wouldn't, what do I mean? Trying to think of an example. So, for example, let's say that we're going to use.
Are you trying to say, like, so if we go and look and forage, we see loads of dandelions, we pick the dandelion heads, but forget that the root has, and the leaves also have properties that you can use? Is that what you're trying to say?
Kind of, but every part of that plant will have a different use. So we want to look at the whole spectrum of the plant. Whereas if we go back to the way modern medicine works, they extract something from it, extract a chemical from it. So we don't want to be extracting just a part of it and using and thinking that the rest of it is rubbish. We want to be looking at a full spectrum. So if you're looking at a full spectrum formula, you're looking at using. You might only want to use the dandelion root, you might not want to use the leaves, but you would not discard the leaves, that would be useful for something else. And you might want to be using it with the whole, you consider the whole energetics of the whole plants in every single case, in all your formula. So your formula will have lead herbs and it might have twins and it might have triplets, and you're not going to know all of that. And then you'll have drivers, and this is how you formulate. When we formulate, we want to be looking at the whole plant, not just isolating bits and thinking the rest of it's rubbish. Yeah.
So based on
it
your,
will become clear.
So potentially then, based on your assessment of your client
and your plants.
Yeah. So you could be using one or more components of the plant.
You will, yes,
Yeah.
and you will be. We're going to do a whole day on. Oh, should be 3 years long. We're going to do a whole day on formulation and why formulate. That's another really that comes underneath that heading, because Okay, so for example, I've got an example. Right, okay, right. These mean Neil's Yard, ladies. We're going to be making this because I'm not being funny, but I need shares in Neil's Yard to actually supply myself with it. So it's going to be going on in there. So right. So okay, it's a back remedy. Okay, it's back remedy, but it's produced by Flower Remedy. It's a flower essence. It's a flower essence remedy. Okay, so it's worked on energetics. We'll go into this. We'll go into it. Don't think you don't know what the hell she's talking about, because we'll go into it. I'm just jumping ahead a bit to answer the question. So, for example, inside here we have water, brandy, good. Because Mr. Bax took the brandy out of his. What? What's that about? I don't think so. We're going to have brandy in ours. We're having organic brandy in ours. Right, but we've got flower essence of, a flower essence of, which we're going to make. Yeah, we've got a flower essence of clematis, right? We've got rock rose, we've got star of Bethlehem, all very good for, works brilliantly with that. Just saying. Works brilliantly with that. The only thing is you have to have a really good license to sell stuff like that. I don't have a license, so, but I can administer to myself and my clients. We'll talk about that afterwards. Bloody hell, the thing's gone for me. Right, I'm freeloading it. Okay, so all those ingredients are really good for calming, keeping in control, yeah? But you can buy one that's just clematis, flower essence of clematis. But if you're doing a formula, you want to be using all the things that work in your formulation. Whereas some people will just go, oh, clematis, that's good for this. So again, it's going back to using one thing for one symptom. We're not about using one thing for one symptom. I'm generalising. You might get something that ticks all boxes for one particular problem. But more often than not, you want to be in a position where you're doing effective formulation. Hence the big room needed down there to make a mess.
Is that like someone coming to you and saying, I've got, I don't know, chills and a headache?
Mm-hmm.
So for lots of different symptoms you could pick out?
Yes, you could. Yeah. When we go into formulation, I'm going to give you some really good core examples that will make it. You'll look at it and you'll be thinking by the time you get to the bottom of the prescription, you'll be thinking, ah, right, I get it. Yeah. Don't be coming over here, my lady.
It's one of me here. It's called Marie.
It's okay.
I'm not the
on your hair.
person. I'm the flapper.
You're okay.
She's on your hair.
I'm the flapper.
Oh yeah.
You're okay.
It's because I work with children on programme to keep
Oh, she's on your nose.
I'm not touching it.
Stay
On her neck. Do you have a paper or something?
Is it gone?
Yeah.
Well, I'll get some peppermint out of that. I'm just douse it one peppermint oil.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yes. So yes. When we look at formulation, you'll be able to see how you can address all the situation that's going on, because you're looking at the underlying tissue state. Yeah, you could. Yeah, definitely. So right, okay. Well, we're just gone to.
We're on number 6 now.
We're on number 6, okay. Do no harm, that's obvious, but it's part of our little principles of holistic herbalism is do no harm. Use safe and gentle plants. Don't be like thinking like, well, this is a little bit risky, but no, use safe and gentle, safe and gentle plants, never harming the vital force, this internal vital force, which we're going to go over. Staying within the scope of your skills as well. If you've got, I'll always say this, if you're in a situation where you've got a client and you think, do you know what, okay, I actually feel like I'm overworked, or I feel like I've got too much on, I feel like I can't give this client all of my time, I don't understand what's going on with these clients. It doesn't matter how you feel. You reach out to your, you've got a huge body of people that you're training with. So you reach out and say, do you know what, I can't see these clients, or stay within your skill set and stay within your energetic, the realms of your energetic capability, that don't be pushing yourself if you're absolutely whacked out and you've done too much anyway. You know where you are with it. That's all part of doing no harm, because if you see someone and you're already in a position where you're exhausted, or you've got too much going on, you're focused on writing a book or something, and you really can't actually give that person 100% of the time, then you're not doing any harm, you're not being intentional, but at the same time you're not giving that person your whole. And number 7 is be a virtuous healer. So be good and kind and be courageous and with integrity, and always remember to heal yourself, because if you're broken, we are all broken, but if your self-care is really, really important, because you're no use to anyone if you're broken, so broken that you can't be of use to anyone. So self-care is really important, and being good and not, we'll talk about this when we do the whole session which is later on, about actually dealing with clients, about not judging as well, but not bringing our views into it, because that interrupts our healing process and how we think about the person. So yeah, just it's standard stuff. Be a virtuous healer. So keep this framework, this little framework, in your mind, and do you know what? And study the differences. If you feel like you really need to get the differences between the allopathic theories and the holistic, the way we think holistically, then just go over the little sheet and study where the thought processes are, because there'll be something that you think, oh, actually, I know someone who thinks like that, or I know someone who has thought like that when they've prescribed something for me. So just go over that and be aware that these are our tools. This is how we approach what we're going to be doing. Because ultimately, and going back to the little contemplation that we did, ultimately there will be times when you're thinking, do you know what, oh, this is all too much, it's too much, it's too much. Because it's not all the exciting blendy, it's knowing the stuff as well. And you'll need to go back to your calling, to your roots, and to why you're doing it. And so just everything that we've spoke about this morning, just treat it like your little tool list, like your little fundamental things that you go back to. It's your little boost of being in the right direction and why you're actually doing it. Okay, am I at lunchtime?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Oh, I'm late. Gosh, how did that happen? Okay, so after lunch we're going to do vitalism, and we're going to go through that. And I'm hoping that we're going to have time to get through to plant energetics if we can. I'm hoping so. So we'll try and do that.